Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 72. Now, today's episode, we are recording the first week in January. So it's the first week back at work for many people. It's the first week of the gyms we were open over Christmas, but, people kind of getting back on track, as it were, after the Christmas and the New Year break. Or potentially maybe starting following the Christmas and the New Year break. So what we thought was today, we're recording just after New Year. This is going out, if you're listening on launch day, it's the 14th of January. And myself and the Health Oddity co-hosts or hosts, who I'll introduce in a second, we're going to kind of have a bit of a riff and a bit of a talk around the kind of conversations we've been having this week with our members and our clients and people who maybe have been contacting us about things at the start of the year, and address some of those themes and see if maybe that can help you. And some of them may be familiar, some of them may be things you've been asking yourself. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to do this. So first of all, welcome to Mr. Peter Lant in Bath. How are you doing, Pete?
We're all right. How are you?
I'm very good. How's your year started?
It's been good. It's been good because we didn't shut down over Christmas, but my girlfriend's a teacher and that, so when she finishes, she books time away all the time. So it was like, oh, we're going to Brixham, so we ended up in Brixham in Devon for a week, and then most of my guys were away visiting family and stuff like that. So we were away for 2 weeks. Well, we had 2 weeks off, so we got back to it on Tuesday, and it was so nice to get back to it. It was brilliant. So I was kind of, it's one of those things. I used to have a job that I didn't like going to. Now I'm like, when I'm not there, I'm like, I want to be there. I want to be there, and I want to see what's going on and see how the guys are doing. So yeah, so it's been great. It's been a great week getting back into it.
Well, it'd be good. We can maybe touch on later on, because this is part of one of the conversations I've had in the last week. I know that you were away for, like you say, for best part of 2 weeks over Christmas, but you continue to train over that period. So we'll maybe touch upon that a bit later, and then how it's so much easier for you to sort of slot back into training, having at least kept things ticking over. And I know you took your kettlebell away with you, and I've seen you training. So that we can maybe touch on that as part of one of the themes today. But that is,
absolutely. And I can talk about that anyway, because I put a post out about people. I'll talk about it later, but it's like, what are you taking that with you for? You're on holiday, and it's like, well, yes, I'm going to have loads of free time.
Yeah. There's only so many Sudokus and crosswords you can do, isn't there?
Exactly.
And Mr. Paul Bassett in Putney, how are you doing, Paul?
I'm okay. Yeah, just hitting the new year, trying to be as busy as possible. Make hay while the sun's shining. It's getting more inquiries, and it's kind of weird. It's a weird lead up because as a fitness industry, no one's really that interested in fitness kind of 2 weeks before Christmas. And then all of a sudden the kind of switch is flipped. And then, you're the one that everyone's contacting. So, so it's, I had a pretty, I say relaxing, you have to look after the kids. And so when they're out of school, you have to be very, I don't know if I'm that entertaining to the children over the course of a day, but, I ran out of jokes after a while.
Okay.
It's difficult because a 6-year-old doesn't quite have a sense of humor. They do, but they don't quite understand jokes. They don't have the same sense of humor as a kind of person in their mid-40s. No, they don't. It's really surprising, really. The youth of today.
It depends if you're telling them jokes from now or jokes from 40 years ago.
Yeah, they don't get my Ghostbusters references. They don't get, they don't get any of the Star Wars references. It's ridiculous.
Very, mate. Based on kicking off then, something that you just mentioned, Paul, was this notion of, or this idea that in January, everyone's minds turn to either fitness or fat loss or weight loss or being more active or New Year's resolutions and that sort of thing. I noticed, I think it was on Boxing Day, and I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, and I certainly don't watch a lot of TV that's got adverts in it, because I might watch Netflix or watch things that I've recorded. And I noticed, I think on Boxing Day, the number of adverts I was seeing for Peloton on the TV. I really noticed they were cranking up, and like David Lloyd's leisure centres were advertising for their special 3-month trial memberships and stuff like that. And straight away, and Slimming World and all these things are kind of, they know exactly, they've got their marketing primed to kind of hit on that Boxing Day when people are feeling probably slightly sluggish and slightly stuffed and hungover and a bit down on themselves. So they're kind of, the marketing hits straight away. Have you guys had many, I mean, we talked briefly before coming on air, but have you guys had many people reaching out to you since, in the last week or so?
I mean, I have. I mean, it was. I would say like November, December was pretty slow. I think some of that was just down to COVID and people being a bit kind of tentative about the decision making. Certainly with the Omicron, people weren't sure whether or not to commit to anything. So usually, actually, in the past, usually December's when I get a lot of signups. I think because you kind of come across people. I don't know if it's just the market I'm in or the kind of people that maybe I appeal to, and I'm sure it's the same with you guys, who are kind of forward-thinking people and who go like, I'd rather have a plan ready in January. So December is always typically pretty proactive for a lot of people. But yeah, marked difference. All of a sudden, the website just starts pinging people's inquiries, and and I hope long may that continue.
How about you, Pete? Because I know we mentioned briefly you're a bit different, aren't you? Because all the stuff that I know you do have an online element to what you do, but your face-to-face stuff is largely done outside, isn't it? And at this time of year, it's fairly cold where we are. So do you have people approaching you or contacting you at the moment?
Not so much this year, and not usually in January, no, because everyone's approaching gyms, and like you say, gyms and indoor spaces and all of that stuff, and Slimming World and all of that stuff is shoved in everyone's face, isn't it? And obviously being a one-man, like a guy on his own, I haven't got the funds to be able to compete with that. So
you're not going to go head to head with Peloton, are you?
No. Okay. I also like their I keep seeing their adverts on like social media and that, and in the background it's got "Together we go far," and it's like, yeah, but you're going nowhere. That's the problem.
Have you ever thought about taking a Peloton bike out into the park?
No.
That'll be quite a juxtaposition.
No, so for me, it's more sort of springtime and summer is my my kind of time, which is great because there's lots of people outside. You like the park where I train, you see it. There's no one around. There's no one around at the minute. And then like once the weather gets nice, there's just people everywhere, and everyone looks happier and stuff like that as well. So it's just so for me, I just bide my time with that. I could try and do a massive push, but also the way I've set it up, I don't need a load of people. I just need the right people. And then when people come along, they stay, and everyone just gets on. It's like a nice little community. You know what I mean? And I could have, I could try and market it loads and have loads and loads of people. But it just wouldn't feel the same. And I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because then you can't keep an eye on everyone. When Dan John was at your place, he was talking about like training kids and stuff like that. And you always think, what's the worst that could happen? And the more people you've got, the worse that could happen kind of escalates, doesn't it? I used to have a guy who would have like the heavy bells lying around. As soon as I took my eye off him, he had a sore shoulder. He'd be trying to press a really heavy bell just to test it, just to test his shoulder to see if it was still knackered. And I'm like, don't do that.
Sounds like a toddler or something. The minute you turn your back, they're playing with something. Or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you've got like a couple of kids over there playing, and then you turn your back and turn back round, and then it's just chaos. And you're like, what happened?
Well, you send a 2-year-old into like if military ever want to test the strength of their kind of fortifications, you send a 2-year-old in there to find something that they can destroy in an instant. Or the most dangerous things in a room can be found by a 2-year-old very quickly.
Yeah.
I was
like the guy
to...
it's on Father Ted, isn't it? Have you ever seen that with they have the priests all have their idiosyncrasies, the ones who there's like the boring one and the one who doesn't stop talking and the one who doesn't stop laughing. And there's the one who just comes around, smashes everything. Like he's picking the doors and pulling them off the hinges, going, shoddy, it's shoddy, look. And he just like smashes the place up. Be like that.
I'm going to say you made me think with your, talking about outside training. It just, I was listening to the episode with Eric Doyle today, actually.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good episode. I listened back to the episodes, after they've been out and just to refresh my own memory. And that, he was talking about training on the beach, wasn't he? And how whenever he's out on the beach with his mace and his maybe kettlebell and Bulgarian bags, he says it's hard to get through a full workout because there's so many people around. Obviously, in California on the beach, and people come up and talk to him and want to have a go and want to take photos and all that sort of thing. So I kind of get that impression from what you said that maybe, Bath in the kind of spring and summertime is lots of people walking around outside, and you're going to get a lot more people just approaching you and asking what you're doing. And it's a much more pleasant time to be outside training.
It's fantastic. And what we do get as well is there's a load of people who come past, but like a lot of people who come past and say, they'll be like, oh, I couldn't do that. And, they try and pick up one of the belts. Oh, that's heavy. How do you do that? And all of that, oh, that would hurt my back. This and then I'm like, no, no. I had one lady walk past once, and there was a lady who I had pressing a 12-kilo kettlebell, and she was fairly new, quite strong, but not strong enough to press the 12 properly yet. But she was just like, having a bit of a go, and I was just seeing where she's at. And as she was doing it, I said, that's slightly too heavy for you at the moment. We'll have to go back down to the 10. Because I said, that's just too heavy for you at the moment. And this lady walking past went, of course it is. It's way too heavy. And I was like, who the hell are you?
Probably she's got no idea how much it actually weighs.
Yeah. And I was like, who are you? What do you know? I've done this for years. I do it for a living. I've done lots of education in this. And then, so this lady who was trying to press the 12, who was pressing it, just not amazingly well, it was about 2 months ago. She did 10 sets of 10 presses with the 12 perfectly, no problem. So she got there. So it's not too heavy for her. It just was too heavy in that instance. But
yeah.
Anyway, this is the thing. The other thing with training outside, you get lots of people who come up and have a chat and are very interested, but you also get a lot of comments and a lot of criticism as well. So
it's surprising how often the police drive past me as I run backwards up a hill in Wimbledon. It's a very exclusive area because it's very quiet, and because it's multi-million pound mansions, no one parks on the street, which is great if you're running backwards because you don't want to run into a car that's parked because you can't see it.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's very quiet. So if you're there, a man in a hoodie with gloves on, running backwards, you do draw attention to anyone who may be peering out the windows. But I get a lot of police just kind of driving slowly past me as I run backwards.
We've had, so for the evening sessions in the winter, I've got like a light, and I just put that on and it lights us up. And the police have been past sometimes, and 3 of them came across, because they obviously don't come across like in the dark with one copper just like wanders across, because anything can happen, right? 3 of them came across with the torches and everything, and they just came up and they're like, all right, well, we're just seeing what you were doing, but that's okay, carry on. And I thought, well, if we're like sitting here doing drugs or something like that, we're not going to have a massive light on, lighting us up, showing you that we're doing it.
Deary me. So guys, have you been, I've had two new members join this week. We haven't kind of pushed anything for new people. So we just kind of, if we get anyone organic sort of come through, then we have. So that's quite nice. But more of the conversations I've been having this week have been with, so I've had conversations with these 2 new people, but most of the conversations have been with kind of existing members at the start of the year. And I think it's a time of the year where most people, not just to do with health and fitness, but it's a time to reflect and review and to kind of question the direction you're moving in, and to try and, you know, set some resolutions or goals, or to refocus and that sort of thing. So I've been having kind of inquisitive conversations with members who maybe want to address, you know, what they're going to focus on this year, or targets they may have for this year, or goals, or things that they may want to feel like they want to get on track. Maybe they feel they've been meandering a little bit, so they want something a bit more focused. Have you guys been having sort of any similar conversations with members or people that you work and train with at all?
Certainly members, definitely. I mean, I do a big push, really. I mean, I sat down with one of my coaches, Marta, and we sit down every week and go through our list of clients. We go through our, what we call high risk clients, you know, people who've not booked in the previous week, who aren't booking in the next week. So, you know, we just want to check that they're fine. But I think it's quite easy, even when you're working with a trainer, to just get into a rhythm that's not necessarily in line with why they first approached. And I have loads of clients who are really consistent, but what's going to take them to that level that gets them the result is, that's why I have to start stimulating conversation. It's like, is that still important to you? You know, we're January now, because sometimes people are quiet and they won't tell you. They won't tell you what they're really feeling unless you reach out. And, you know, if you see people regularly, it's great. And that, with that familiarity, sometimes I want to try and steer clear of being complacent that that person is all right, because maybe they need a little bit of help. You know, so, but certainly a lot of people are trying to work. I mean, I think that some of the clients who've been with us a long time just have things sorted. Nothing's really changed. It didn't change over Christmas. It didn't change over the summer or whatever. They're just doing the same thing. But then there are other people who really do. They haven't quite built the momentum. They may have joined 3 months ago, but they haven't built the momentum they want. And we have to refocus the mind in January.
How about you, Pete? Have you been having any?
Yeah, I mean, most of the conversations that we have, like in my groups, come out of the group, because everyone's similar age, similar kind of, I would say, like similar lifestyles, you know. So, and it's mainly stuff, just life stuff that gets in the way, you know. And then it's all, so we mainly start to talk about, like, you know, how people are busy, people have got kids to look after, people have got jobs, some people miss sessions because, you know, because something's come up, or they're going to go to London for a meeting or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the same for everybody. Like, you know, and it's not saying like you're not special and you're not, you know, but it's like, you get, I was talking to somebody today who said, you know, she managed to have a couple of days where she was doing stuff for herself, and she, you know, she's going to get her hair done, and she's going out for a coffee with a mate, and she was doing the kettlebells in the morning and all of that. And it was like, she said she felt guilty about it. And I was like, well, don't. And she's like, yeah, but I feel like I should be doing stuff. And I'm like, but you're getting things done that you'd usually put off, and because you're too busy, and because you've got the time, it's okay. And I was like, I feel like that, you know what I mean? So we end up having like conversation within groups, and then something will pop out and someone will say, oh, that happened to me as well. And then all of a sudden everyone can then kind of realize it's not just them. It happens, you know, everyone's very same, and everyone's got similar problems. They just get exacerbated in different ways, in different people's heads as well. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking about this the other day, because people end up, like Paul was saying, you get quiet clients who don't say anything, but then when you have a conversation with them, they might think they've had a conversation with you or the group of people. They've had this conversation when they haven't. All they've done is been going over it in their head, and they think they've actually had the conversation. And it's like, no one ever spoke about that. So let's talk about it, and let's, you know, let's address it. So, so yeah, I mean, that's the way we kind of work it in ours, because it's, like I say, it's all kind of a group thing and everyone gets on. And also the groups, the different times of groups have got different people in them who are very similar, but like, actually it's quite weird how the group demographic is different for the different time periods. So that's quite interesting as well. And I don't know if that's because of some people like getting up early, so they're all kind of similar, and some people like training mid-morning, so they're kind of similar, or it's because they're part of that group, so therefore they get shaped into that. You know what I mean? It's really weird, but it's quite an interesting demographic, I think.
I remember watching the documentary, the Louis Simmons West Side Barbell documentary. Have either of you watched that on Netflix?
I haven't, no.
And it's really interesting. It's real hardcore kind of powerlifting, obviously, at West Side Barbell. But there were the people that trained in the morning, and then there were the people that trained in the evening. And it was like they were almost like enemies, like the morning crew and then the evening crew, and they didn't mix. And if it was sort of like they were very tribal. I'm sure it's not like that with your guys, but I'm just
but I get that with people who'll say like, I can't make the 9:30 session, and I'm like, well, that's fine. You can do 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'm not doing 7 o'clock. I'm not getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, okay, so you can miss it then, but I don't want to miss it. It's like, well, it's up to you.
I had that conversation.
I can't make it turn up, but 7 o'clock in the morning's like, as far as I'm concerned, that's all right now.
Well, that's mid-morning. That's mid-morning, 7
I was in my 20s. 7 o'clock in the morning was the middle of the night, but now it's okay.
Well, the thing is, that's a conversation I have multiple times this week, because you see, and what it really highlights is the desire for change versus the action someone's prepared to take, and it really lays them bare. Because I had someone recently and they came in and they were like, I'm really unhappy where I am, it's making me feel awful, blah 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 blah. And it did, I could tell that, and it that person needed to get some stuff off their chest or whatever, but because of their timings, they couldn't do some of our classes in the evenings. So I said, well, why don't you just do the morning ones? Why don't you do 7 a.m.? I'm not a morning person. And you're like, well, if that's the only time you can do the program and it's going to make this massive change to you because it's exactly what you want, that's something that needs to be addressed. That's something that you need to be called out on to a degree, because it's a limiting habit. And it's a great example of the old habits and their power. Because often most of the things that people say they can't do is when the old habit says, well, actually, hang on a minute, we've always done it this old way. This is the way that works for me. This is the way that we've always done it. Why are you trying to change it? This is uncomfortable. Like you, Peter, I used to think a mid-morning lecture at university was heresy. I used to fall asleep at the desk at 12 p.m. because I was so tired. Because whereas now I'm doing classes at 6 a.m., and that means getting up at, at quarter to 20 to 5, and I'm not a morning person. It's just that if I don't work, my business falls apart.
The funny thing is with that, the first thing is you need to be careful when people say they're not a morning person and stuff like that. I've realized this probably in the last 18 months or 2 years, because I've read Matthew Walker's book, The Why We Sleep book. And there's a guy who I've got online who goes to bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's tired when he gets up. And I'm like, well, go to bed earlier. And he just says he can't sleep. But there are people like that, because your circadian rhythm when you're a kid, you don't sleep when you're a baby, do you? But you know what I mean? Or some do, some don't. But when you're a kid, you want to stay you get up early. And then when you become a teenager, you want to stay in bed. And then when you get back towards your 20s, you start to get up slightly earlier again. But some people don't transition back, apparently, and they become the person who goes to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, wants to get up at 10 o'clock. But because society says you start work at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock or whatever it is, whatever time you start. So he was permanently tired because he couldn't sleep at night, but he had to get up to go to work in the morning. And I was trying to say to him, just go to bed earlier and trying to change his habits and everything, and he just couldn't.
I would say I was that person though, but sometimes you got to, it's like bashing iron, eventually it gets tempered into the thing you want, and it's,
well, there is that you can change. Yeah, you can change it as well, but it takes a lot of time. So I suppose there is that building the habit, but it's quite hard to do, I think.
It's the pain versus the outcome.
I'm going to say it's either he couldn't or he wouldn't, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is exactly.
I think the thing is that, like what Paul was just saying, it's this, people have this desire for change, but they also have this desire for comfort as well. And it's, and that kind of idea of, so I've noticed in the last couple of Mondays have been bank holiday Mondays. So usually I do a spinning class every Monday at 6:30 in the morning. And usually I get about, I'd say an average of 8 to 10 people. I mean, it's a max of 14 anyway, but you know, so 8 to 10 people at 6:30 on a Monday morning. And the last 2 Mondays, because they've been bank holidays, I've done it slightly later. I've done it at 8 a.m. and the classes have been full, you know. So I think it's also relating to maybe people weren't working, so people would be more inclined to come in. But I think most people could, if they wanted to, come in and do a session at 6:30 in the morning. But it's uncomfortable for most people if you're not used to getting up at that time in the morning. If you're not, you know, if you see that is early, like you say, you'd have to get up at 6, you'd have to leave home at 6:15, you'd have to be at the gym, you get your bike set up, ready to go at 6:30 is uncomfortable for people. But it's one of these ones, isn't it, that if a gun was put to your head and you had to do it, you'd find a way to do it, you know. And if it was important enough to you, you'd be able to do it.
This is the thing as well, because then you can develop. So say you've got the habit of, I'm not getting out of bed early, I'll get out of bed. So you'll be one of those people who sets your alarm, presses snooze again, and then bolts out of bed, jumps in the shower, like grabs a bit of toast, jumps in the car, you're off to work, you hit your desk like at 1 minute to whatever time you start, to 9 o'clock, right? Or you could get up when your alarm goes off and have a nice easy morning and all that. Because what can happen then is throughout that day, you're then reacting to stuff because you haven't given yourself any time. So the way I think of it is, and this is the way I like to do it, and I used to take the piss out of my dad for this, because he used to get up early and get everything done that day, so he didn't have anything to do for the rest of the day, right? And I used to be like, what are you doing? Why do you, you've got the whole day to do stuff. The problem is you haven't, because you'll end up not doing the stuff and then trying to do it all at the end of the day or the end of the week. That's why everyone's so busy on a Friday afternoon, isn't it? So the way I like to think of it is, that's why I like to get up. I get my session done in the morning, and I try to get stuff done early in the day, because then if anything shows up, if anything else comes up, or if I'm tired or whatever, it's done. So I don't have to worry about it. And also, if I don't do that, I'm more likely to make excuses throughout the day of why I can't do my session. Oh, I can't do it today because this got in the way, I've just eaten, I can't do it now, I'm tired. And I think that's what people struggle with. So they say, I want to do an evening session. Then you say, well, it's this time. Oh, I can't do it at that time. You can do it early in the morning. No, I can't, because then I know I'll have to get up and do it. Whereas if I try and do it in the evening, I can make the excuse then that I could, you know, and I think that I used to be that person. You can get into that cycle of, I've never got time to do anything. And actually you've got as much time as everyone else. And I know there's caveats to that of, like, you know, people with young kids and and all of that. I know that, but for pretty much everybody, it's very much the same, isn't it? You know, and if it's priorities, it's whatever you prioritize.
So we've been having some conversations around things this week with a couple of, I mean, I've been talking to, I'll give them a couple of, so Sue Bell, who's a member, Paul Field, who's regular, obviously Health Oddity listener, Wendy, who's a regular listener as well. And we've been talking about things like, if people have been feeling they're kind of training, probably along the line of what Paul mentioned earlier, people who are real long-term kind of habitual trainers now, and they've been with us for years and years and years. And you can almost get into a, not a rut, but you get into, who was it who said, I was on a conference call thing the other week with Dr. Paul Bedford. And he said, the problem with routine is it can become very routine, you know, and you do want to create a routine, but if it becomes too routine, you just kind of do it naturally, which is what kind of many people would see as the gold standard of trying to create a habit that you just do naturally. But you also need these regular check-ins and regular kind of reviews and thinking about, you know, like you said, why you're actually doing stuff. So one of them was talking about themes that they've got for the year. And one of the themes was strength, you know, And then we kind of had the conversation, well, what does strength mean to you? Or what does strength look like to you? And we kind of got into this conversation. He said also leanness and being, I said, well, what's more important, the strength or the leanness? And you kind of get into these conversations, you try and draw things out from people in terms of having goals. But then I sometimes come back to we've had these conversations on the podcast a number of times. I come back to the point of, do you need a real tangible goal? And there's kind of obviously there's outcome goals that we can look at, specific things you're working towards. Then there's process goals. And then one of the things was we've spoke about recently, and it's more the conversation we had with Stina last week, was almost like a direction goal. You know, are you moving in the right direction? And is that enough? And are you moving towards who you want to be? And day by day, you're making decisions that you're either moving towards who you want to be, or you're moving further away from who you want to be. And one of the things that you said, I think it was, well, both of you have said it actually in this podcast, when you mentioned to someone getting up and training in the morning, oh no, I can't do that. I can't do that, you know. And one of the things I thought earlier was, it's really who you want to be, isn't it? Do you want to be the kind of person who just because it's relevant, because the conversation I've had this week, do you want to be the kind of person who wakes up on New Year's Day with a hangover? Or do you want to be the kind of person who wakes up on New Year's Day and, you know, gets up and exercises or trains and does something proactive and positive, and you feel good and healthy? And they're the kind of decisions you need to make, aren't they? You were going to say something.
Didn't you have a queue outside your gym?
Yeah. So
They were waiting for you to open it up, weren't they?
I know. So New Year's Day, we were due to be shut in terms of not officially opening, but I did the same on Boxing Day. So the only day I didn't go in was Christmas Day. But I don't officially kind of put in classes and things like that on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, because I might not feel like going in and doing them. And I don't want to almost tie myself.
You might have a massive hangover. Is that what you're trying?
Might have a massive
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
No, but you know, I don't really want to tie myself to it, because something family wise might come up or something. And then you kind of, you know, you're kind of making a rod for your own back. But on the day, so on Christmas Day evening, I kind of posted and said, look, I'm going to go in and train in the morning, 8 till 10. I'm going to open up at 8 and I'm going to lock up at 10, because I don't want it to kind of take over my whole day with the family. But if anyone wants to come in and train, come in and join me, you know. And we got people doing it. And I did the same on New Year's. I kind of messaged on New Year's Eve afternoon. I said, look, I'm going to unlock at 8, lock up at 10 if you want to come in and train. And I turned up at the gym at 8 o'clock, and I had, like you saw, I had a queue of people waiting outside, which was great. And they were all, it was like Alex, Lauren, Emma, Matt turned up as well. But they were kind of all people who'd done the SFG recently, and were kind of committed to training, and it was lovely. So they turned up.
Keown let you down, didn't he?
Keown let me down. Yeah. But they all kind of turned up, and then we trained, and we had a mulled wine afterwards, and we all went home at kind of 10 o'clock and had the rest of the day together, which was lovely. So yeah, that was a good little piece for the kind of the community. So I mean, in terms of if people come to you guys and would have a conversation along the lines of, you know, I don't know where I'm heading, or I don't know where I want to head this year. We've had this conversation a lot, but have you kind of pointed people in directions, or do you try and draw out goals from them, or do you try and just have a bit of a coaching conversation and see what you can uncover?
Well, I've had one in particular, a lady who, she moved in next door to me actually last year, and she lives somewhere else now, but she's come along. She's 61, right? And she used to live in Cornwall, and she did this like outdoor training thing in Cornwall as well. And they had all these like logs and stuff like that. It was a big old kind of just like things that get like jerry cans and all that they could get their hands on. And she did some gig rowing and all of that sort of stuff. And she's permanently going on, like, so she's not in the shape that she was when she was doing that. And she's permanently going on about, like, that's what I used to do. I used to do all that. And I'm like, right, that's great. But what can you do now? So she wants to be able to go, like, walk up Penny Fan, basically. But, you know, she says, I've got sore knees and I've got this and I'm tired and my feet are tight and sore and blah, 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 and all that. So I've got to do bits of mobility, and I'm like, right, do 10 kettlebell swings, right? We'll do 5 sets of 10 kettlebell swings, just as like a bit of a warm up, but also, you know, it'll get you moving and it'll get you started basically. And the funny thing is, she pretty much, not necessarily much, she's the type of person, she doesn't moan about it, but she always has something to say about everything you do. So she's like, well, kettlebell swings, blimey, they're boring. I've done them already. Can we do something else? And I'm like, no, but you know what I mean? It's like, can we make it more interesting? Because there's in this other place, she used to do like a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of this and a bit of that. And it's like, right, that's brilliant. In April, you're walking up Penny Fan, right? And I was kind of like, cardio-wise, you'll be able to do it. So I've got to walk it up. There's hills all over Bath, as you know. So I'm like, right, like most days, just go for a walk up a hill. Walk up a hill. And I told her one in particular, which is right near our house. I'm like, walk up that and back down it again. And do that as often as you can outside of what we're doing. She goes everywhere on a bike. So that's cool. So I'm like, right. So I was like, your cardio is sorted. You don't need to do anything with that. Like you'll be able to get to the top of Penny Fan with that cardio. Problem is your knees will not be happy about it. Your legs will get tired and all of this stuff. So I'm like, right. So squats, we need to do some squats and like, you know, walking lunges, that sort of thing. She's like, oh, I hate those. And I'm like, you're going to hate them even more when you're trying to walk up Penny Fan. You know, so I forgot what the question was, but it was
about if you were helping people set very specific goals, because we spoke about outcome goals. Yeah.
So the problem, so what I usually do is every session I'm saying to her, because she's like, well, you know, I don't need to be, we were doing kettlebell swings and she's like going, I don't need, my arms are fine. And I'm like, it's your hips that you're using. So, and I've said that before, but it just, sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. So I've started like every session we're doing, I'm like, right, with the goal of getting up to Penny Fan, here's why we're going to do this. This is going to get your engine going. This is going to get your hips going. This is going to make your legs stronger. This will help your knees so they don't hurt when you're walking up, and especially when you're coming back down. And it's just trying to
you're kind of tying the training, you're tying the techniques that you're using for training to the longer term goal that she's got, aren't you? To kind of make the training relevant to the longer term goal and help her understand that.
Absolutely, because I think that's when people get you can get a kind of you can feel disjointed, because someone might come and say, I want to lose weight, and then you get them doing strength work. And they're like, well, no, I want to do loads of cardio and this and that, and I want to burn calories. And it's like, well, yeah, but this will help as well. It's like, you know, like like someone might have an aesthetic goal, say, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do the thing that they think they need to do, because they've been doing that for years as well. And they've come to you to say, how do I do it? So you show them how to do it. And then they might say, well, actually, that's not going to help you. So I'm going to go to someone else. And it's like, well, no. So, I mean, I just keep trying to instill it in every time. And then at least the person knows where they're going towards, where they're heading towards. And they know that you've got it in mind as well. You've got their goal in mind. Because I mean, that must happen with you, Paul, with the Amazing 12. Because I mean, that's like a very, it's like an intense thing, isn't it? So the person's got to really want to be involved.
Most people come in with a goal to be, you know, when you sit down, they may have specific goals about weight loss or specific goals about being stronger or fitter or whatever, or exercising without injury. And kind of one of the reasons they're coming to me is because they don't really know what that means practically. So they say, okay, you know, I need to get healthy, Paul. How do I do it? And so that is the goal. And then what I try and establish is there are things that are preventing them from achieving that goal, because, you know, my suggestions will be based around how we navigate those things, because some of those things will be negated by doing one of our programs. But you know, if someone travels a lot, or if someone has injuries or whatever, that typically stop them from achieving their goals, and those things need to be brought in. But the kind of part of what I do is initially is create very highly structured programs to start with, that people can just, it's a bit like getting on a train. You know, if you get on a train, you expect to go to your destination. Then the question then becomes what Peter just mentioned, is like, okay, so what's the mindset of the individual? Because we can all sit down and say what we want, but it's very difficult to actually act on that. And the Amazing 12 is the kind of at the top of that rung of transformation programs, in the sense that, yes, I want a six pack. I want to be as strong as possible. I want that result. Okay, this is what it's going to take. And so with that, particularly with that program, I have to be very, very specific in the way I talk to people and saying, okay, are you capable and do you understand the level of commitment you'll need to bring to achieve this goal? Because this goal is a certainty if you follow the system. And the system, I talk about it a bit like having a baby. One day you can go out and do what the hell you want. You can go, you can get up whatever time of day, and then the next day you have a baby and everything changes. And it's the same when you're having a really highly structured transformation program. Is the reason it gets very high level of result is because it does things very differently from what you've done in the past. Whereas my other programs are like, okay, so you're a busy person, you don't have much time, you want to eat better. Well, okay, I'm going to make it really easy for you to succeed. Let's try and get some momentum up, and let's just keep you moving forwards. Most people just need some momentum. They don't need motivation because, you know, they're sitting in front of me. So they're obviously motivated enough to do something. They just need some momentum to actually demonstrate that results can happen by just making some small changes. And I suppose I just drill and I just try and remove things so that it, you know, the A12 is different. You do add a lot. You add a lot of training. You add a lot of nutritional support. You add a lot of accountability. But that is not what most people need. It's not to say that they couldn't benefit from it, but it's not what most people come to me to do. They say, I'm busy enough. I've got so much stuff. Just make it easy for me, you know? Yeah. So that kind of answers their goals by just saying, okay, you know, and then I just have to keep them accountable to it to make sure that they can implement it. But I make it quite easy to do a minimum commitment so that if they do implement it really easily, then we can have a conversation about, well, okay, what's the next jump up? You've got these basics down. You're doing those really well. Is that fine? And they might just say, yeah, or they might say, I just need a little bit of help here and there, or I want to jump up another level.
Because I'd imagine, oh, sorry, go on, Pete.
No, you carry on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'd imagine that for people, if you've got the total novice, the person who at the moment is fairly sedentary and, you know, has really bad lifestyle practices, for them to jump to they may think that they'd be capable of jumping into something like the Amazing 12. But for the majority of people, probably coming in through one of the slightly softer, more forgiving programs initially, and then using that as a gateway to a more structured and rigorous program. Is that how it tends to work with your guys? Or I mean, ironically, from absolutely, you know, in really terrible, you know, shape, doing no exercise at all, and take them into the Amazing 12, and some of them see it through and work well?
Yeah, ironically, you know, a lot of the people who apply for that have very, very little experience in any way. And perhaps why the program works for them is because it just sweeps them up. And then because we're very engaged, there's a lot of, you know, it takes out a lot of the freedom. And it's often those people, if there's too much kind of wriggle room, that's where the, you know, we do have people who do the program at 70% of its potential kind of application. You know, they say they're doing the diet and they're not really, but they all do change. You know, they just don't get the most out of that program because they didn't do it to the highest level. But you know, yeah, obviously if someone comes in very athletic and does that program, they're just going to, you know, they're going to get that really, really high level of result. The result will be proportional to that start position. But yeah, I had one lady, she came in, she spent the first probably 10 weeks just complaining about how heavy the weights were. You know, oh, it's gone up again. Oh my God. And then something just switched. I mean, it was just amazing. She literally became like a machine. It just like overnight, she suddenly just decided that like she was now a different person. I don't know what happened, but it just kind of.
I have to say that happened to me last Friday. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is too heavy. I was knackered. But I think that might have been because it was like New Year's Eve, and it was like coming towards the end of the Christmas period and all that sort of stuff.
Well, whenever a lot of my clients are very successful people. So, you know, they work in, you know, I'm sure it's for you guys, they're professionals. You know, you might be working with accountants, lawyers, doctors, you know, people who professions, run their own businesses, etc., teachers, you know, and they're used to negotiating. So when it comes into the session, you know, they try and negotiate their way out of things, and that never goes well. I say you can't negotiate with a terrorist. So It's but you know, I mean, so it's like my suggestion box is the bin, but it's you know, they're not there to do things. You know, I give them the sense of free will.
Yeah. The fact that you said something interesting right at the beginning of all that, by the way, of
then it went downhill.
Yeah.
There
was something very interesting right at the beginning, and then the rest of it, I was just blah 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 blah.
Like Charlie Brown.
No, you said at the beginning, like you try to identify what the person's biggest obstacle is, which is massive. And there was a thing I heard the other day, a quote I heard. I don't know, I can't remember where I heard it, but it stuck in my mind. And it was the war you're best prepared for is the last one. You know, anything that you've already done, you're quite prepared to deal with that. But like the stuff that you're trying to achieve, the goals that you've got, you know, you don't know what the process is because you haven't done it yet, which is why you hire a coach or like, you know, whatever, somebody who knows what they're talking about. But I think that's brilliant because that, in my head, that explained why people are cyclical and why people lose the same 10 pounds that they put back on again. You lose it so many times because they'll do it. And Stina was talking about this last week as well, about like having a specific time frame rather than just doing stuff with, like she said, she wants to take her socks off or put them on in a headstand when she's 84. That's a long-term goal. So she's just got to keep going. So the kind of, you know, lose some weight, lose a stone, you lose it or you get close to it, because when people want to lose a specific amount, they might say, I want to lose a stone, they lose 10 pounds, and then they go, oh, well, I'm near enough, so I can kind of take my foot off the gas a bit. And then it goes the other way. So they've done that. But then the next time they're like, right, well, I'm going to do it again next year. I'll do, like, you get a year down the line, I'm going to do it again because I have to, because like I'm back to where I was. And they follow the same process and then follow the same process. So you're trying to beat the thing that you haven't done yet with the same process that you didn't beat it with. It's the Einstein thing as well, isn't it? Of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So that's why I like it. You say, and I've done this with my guys as well. You know, it's like, what's your biggest obstacle? What's the thing that stops you every single time? And the strategy is to get over that. Then the training is like the easy bit, because you will do it, because the obstacle is the thing that's stopping you from doing it. So yeah, I really like that.
I had a conversation with someone earlier in the week who's a person I've known for quite a long time, who is one of these people who will constantly, you know, lose a certain amount of weight and then it will go back on. They'll lose it and it will go back on. And we had a conversation and they said to me, oh, well, my heaviest weigh-in of the year is always the day after New Year's Day. You know, it's always my heaviest weigh-in of the year, you know, and they've got this in their head, you know, and it's because they've not really ever addressed they're constantly fighting this battle with their weight, you know, and that's the focus. But they have a lifestyle that is not conducive to living more healthily, you know. So we had to have this conversation, and I kind of said, well, what's going to be different this year, you know? Because if you get to this day next year, and you're the same weight as you are now, and you know, and say it's a ballpark figure, kind of 19 stone, and you might go down to sort of 17 at some stage in the year, maybe even 16 and a half. And then by the end of the year, he's 19 stone, you know, and he's not healthy. He's borderline diabetic, you know, and all this. So we've started having some real kind of not awkward conversations, difficult conversations, you know, around things and why things are going to be different. And I think you might have mentioned something just now, Pete, is that it's what kind of person. So I started having this conversation with him, which we've had many times. You know, what does it look like in 2 decades time? You know, so he's in his mid to late 40s now. You know, no, he's 50 in about 3 years time. So I said, what does life look like when you're 50? You know, and from what we spoke about with Stina, you know, what are you able to do when you're 50? What are you not able to? And I actually said to him, let's start having a conversation with your wife about it as well, you know, because he really says he wants to change, you know, but the actions he's taking aren't in alignment with what he says he wants, you know.
You've just said something there as well, which is huge. And I had a conversation with a guy about this that he instigated actually on one of my online guys. about his nutrition, and he's been doing really well. He's been doing the training really well, and then he's like, I'm trying to work out how to handle nutrition. And I was like, well, you've used the same approach that you're using with your training. Really, you just be disciplined about it. So over Christmas, he's had a conversation with his wife. He's got kids and stuff, and they're going to work out the shopping rota and all of this. They've had a conversation about it, and they're going to work out how to eat more healthily, basically. They already eat healthily, but eat more within the parameters of weight loss. So like, calorie deficit and all of that. And I said to him, the amount of people, the amount of guys in particular, usually, who don't blame their wives or blame their family, but they'll use their family as an excuse to say, I don't do any of the nutrition, I don't cook, I don't do it, so therefore I've got no say over it. And I've had that a lot. My wife handles all the meals and stuff, so therefore I don't. I just eat what's put in front of me, and it's like that means either I'm not going to have the conversation, or I'm scared to have that conversation because I don't know what will happen. And he was brilliant. He just come back and he said, if you can't speak to your partner about it, you're screwed. Not just in trying to lose weight and everything, but in life, in the relationship and everything. I mean, you should be able to address things like that, because if you're unhappy about something, I mean, okay, if you're unhappy because something's up with a house or something like that, then that can cause problems, right? And you need to be a bit thicker. But if it's about you, you need to be able to talk about it, don't you?
You can't absolve yourself of responsibility for what you put in your mouth. Do you know what I mean?
But some people do. But also, that's the other thing, isn't it? Because you have to take responsibility for it. You can use all the excuses under the sun, but you ultimately have to take the responsibility. And even if that would be to a point of like, okay, well, you make the meals for you and the kids, and I'll look after myself for a while. And then, after a while, it'll be like, well, that doesn't really work very well. And it's like, right, well, what we're going to do about it then? Because it's, you need to do that.
Well, I think that's been it's been lovely just catching up with the two of you, and and over the Christmas period and going forward from here. I mean, we've got some great guests lined up already. I know that, Paul, you've lined up Ranges of Strength. Is it Lucas? Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted. Lucas Aaron. Yep.
Lucas Aaron.
Used to be known as Bodyweight Dad on Instagram, and then he set up a business called Ranges of Strength. He did some crazy things.
Yeah, so we've got that lined up for later this month. We're going to have a few more guests on as well. But no, that was it was really nice to kind of I like these conversations where we kind of just talk through the things that's going on with us and our clients, and the kind of some of the challenges, maybe, or the questions that we get asked, and the directions that people need to move in. We didn't touch on some of the things. I was going to mention things like no, I won't even mention that. We'll leave that for another episode, because that will take us off on another tangent. Pete, anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I think I've said enough. But no, I like the thing you said, and the thing I like to leave people, I say a lot, and I like to leave people with, is what do you want to be in 20 years' time? So you were talking about doing the things that get you towards your goal. Okay, like whatever term that goal is, if it's a 3-month goal, 12-month goal, whatever. But keep in mind that, what does it look like in 20 years' time? What would the person... So in 20 years' time, the person who you want to be, what would that person do now? And I think that's huge. I think about that all the time, and pretty much every decision I make, I have that in mind. It's kind of just in my head all the time now. It's one of those things, and if it is in my head all the time, it makes me not necessarily make the right decisions all the time, but it makes me think about it and know when I've done something and I've willfully gone and done it against that, and then it makes me think, will I do that next time? So yeah, no,
it's a good filter, isn't it? It's a good kind of lens to view things through, I think, which is really important. Mr. Paul Bassett, anything before we leave?
I think if I say something, it might come across as self-indulgent now. So everything's been said. No. What was I going to say? Yeah, no, I was just thinking. I think it's easy. There's always part of me. As much as I totally understand how challenging it is to be healthy. I think I've realized even more now, and it's probably through facing my own foibles, particularly in things that I do, whether it's running my business, the way that I focus on certain areas of my life. It's just bloody uncomfortable, isn't it? And you just got to face up to how challenging it is, and it's not always something you want to do. And it's, I go up and down in my, in how I perceive things and events. And, if you don't face up to them, if you aren't willing to be uncomfortable, then you're probably going to struggle to really see long-term change. And that's not to say that it's going to be arduous, but it's not going to be easy at all. It just won't be. And I think that anything worthwhile is tough. And it's trying to get that over to people without being unkind, because sometimes the conversation needs to be quite frank. It's like, you've got to kind of really act here. If you want it, you've got to do it, I think the thing is that I do understand why people don't get me wrong. But then there's part of me that says, just do it. Get out your own way and do it. And that is hard. It's a hard thing to face up to. And I can say that because I go through those struggles myself, but I do realize that if I am not doing something, it is because I have chosen not to do it. And that is a hard thing to admit.
I think there's the thing that some people who maybe, don't exercise at all, don't look after themselves, don't worry about what they eat, see people like maybe us and other people talking about living a healthy, active life. And they kind of think that it's just easy for people who do it. They think, well, that's not me. That's not the way I'm built, or, I'm not that kind of person. But like you've just expressed, and like I can vouch as well, like I think pretty much every day that I've got to do some kind of training, my mind is trying to talk myself out of it, or trying to talk myself to pushing it back later in the day, or I'll do that this evening. Actually, let's go home, have a rest, have some lunch, come back, I'll feel better this evening. And then, like Pete said earlier, it'll get to the evening and I'll find another excuse not to do it in the evening. So you really just have to, I was listening to something the other day where it's almost like just start setting up. So I actually just set up what I'm going to use. If it's a kettlebell, I'll set it up. I'll get out my abacus, my wooden abacus that I always use, or I'll make up my barbell that I need, and I'll just be 1, 2, 3, just do it. And if I do the first set, I'm then going to carry on, but it's not easy for anyone, and
the thing behind that, what you just said there, is we've all been there as well. When someone says it's easy for you because you do it for a living, it's easy for you, because it just is. It's like we've all been there. You posted a pic. I mean, I know I've been there. I was like unhealthy and out of shape and overweight and all of that sort of stuff. Paul was in the same position. I don't know about being overweight or not, but you were.
I was, very much. So.
Drinking and all that, and like working and socializing with work. We had jobs where you had to do that. And James posted a picture. That picture you posted of you, I don't know how old you were in that picture.
Yeah, mid-20s probably.
Yeah, but you were a big lad, weren't you? So we've all had to deal with that. So it's not easy, but we've just made it a habit.
I think it starts with a decision, doesn't it? And this is something one of the things I had written down, that I've had this conversation a few times this week, is the quality of your life is determined by what you say yes to and what you say no to, and then it's kind of determining what makes you say yes to certain things and no to other things. But it's that easy, it's not that easy. It's that simple,
It's simple, yeah.
It's what you say yes to and what you say no to. If you're
it's also being able to say, Stina said this last week, being able to say yes to the things that you want to be able to do, but you have to say no to it at the minute because you can't do them because you're saying yes to all the other bloody things. So, yeah.
But I find nowadays the people I talk to, it's more getting them to say no to things.
Yeah.
Like say no to commitment, say no to people wanting help, say no to, and it's not saying you say no to everything to be selfish or be an arsehole or whatever, but the kind of people that probably the three of us work with, like you say, they're people who've got responsibilities, they're people who are conscientious, they're people who have got families, they're people who are responsible. So people will come to them for help a lot, and they'll say yes to a lot of things that ideally they, then by saying yes to these things, it takes them away from the things that they say they want, so it's very, very complicated. But anyway, it's been a fantastic conversation today, guys. So thank you so much. That was episode 72. Please do like, share, subscribe, follow. Thanks. Paul Phil popped a lovely message in the group, I think at the turn of New Year, saying how he really was thankful for us for the podcast for last year. And we're thankful for all of you guys for listening every week, including someone, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if you know the guy. Someone put on there, it might have been a guy, it might have been a woman, but someone said, "Oh, I really like the podcast. I find it really funny." And I said,
I don't know who that. I didn't see that.
It's not intentionally humorous, but thank you. I think.
Yeah, it's a three men bump. It's like, what's it called? It's not One Foot in the Grave. The one where they used to go down the hill in a bathtub.
Oh no!
Oh, what, Last of Summer Wine or something like that.
Last of Summer Wine. Yeah.
No. You see, the Last of the Summer Wine was the same episode every week.
It was.
Yeah.
This isn't.
but no, it's And Paul, I think Paul said he said it's like listening to three people in the pub having a chat, which is quite a nice.
Do that one day.
Yeah.
Are you drinking?
I'll have a drink. Yeah, I do have a drink. Yeah. I'm not drinking right now, but
No.
no, cool. Well, mate, I'll tell you what, when you come down for David Keown in March, we'll have to sort something out where we can have a drink afterwards, or
Yeah, I was going to come down the night before.
Yeah, come down the night before and stay in a hotel or something, and we can meet up. That'd be great. That'd be really good.
Yeah, we can get hammered and then tell David we can't turn up at that time in the morning because it's too early. We'll have to do it at 12 o'clock.
I'll complain all the way through about
and then whinge about it.
So final, before I go, I hadn't planned to mention it, but yeah, David Keown, March the 13th, I think, is a Sunday. He's going to be at Unique Results doing his one-day kettlebell sport and kettle yoga seminar. Please do book. I think there's only about 6 places left now. But if you want to book in, and there's a kind of an early bird price until the end of January. So if you want to book in for that, that'd be great. The three of us will be there. So if you'd like to meet all three of us in person, it would be lovely to see you. Anyway.
Or come along and just give us crap for ruining your ears once a week. Just come along and go, you lot.
Anyway, guys, we will catch up with you soon. Thanks so much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Oddity.